Hello and welcome to HT Auto. I'm Shubhadeep and today we are back with a new episode with a new car for once again an absolutely honest review. The car that you see next to me is the Hyundai Creta N Line, the third N Line in the family of the Korean brand in our country. Now, Hyundai had launched the i20 N Line and the Venue N Line, but this particular model is perhaps making the biggest promise, the biggest noise. The Creta in itself is quite new. The latest version was released in January, but the N Line now is clearly targeting a younger, more sporty oriented car buying audience. What does this car bring to the table? And the most important question perhaps is, how is it any different from the Creta? These are just some of the many questions we'll look to find the answers to in this episode, so please be sure to stick till the end to watch it. The main claim to fame for N-Line models are the visual updates on the outside. And while these are essentially cosmetic, they do lend a very solid visual character to these particular models. Now take the case of the Creta N-Line. You get the red accent here to tell you that this is an N-Line, and the lip here on the front and the bumper has also received an update. Move to the side of the vehicle and the emphasis on the red color continues, stretching all the way from the front tire to the back tire here, and an official confirmation that this is an N-Line comes courtesy this badge right here. But from the side, the biggest highlight is that the Creta N-Line sits on 18-inch alloy wheels instead of the 17-inch that you get on the non-N-Line version of this SUV. Now at the rear too, the subtle changes continue, but the biggest highlight here are the N-Line badge and the twin-tip muffler with a pronounced exhaust note on it. Now on this particular model, the ORVMs are body colored, the door handles are in the color of the exterior body, but if black is not your thing, you can actually choose between as many as 3 single tone and 3 dual tone color options. Now for the first time, perhaps one particular single tone color is likely to get more attention than the dual tone. And that's because for the first time in a Hyundai India car, the matte grey edition has been introduced. If you are going to the showroom to check out Creta N Line, please be sure to check out the matte shade in particular. But that's about the exterior highlight of this car. There is something that's also going on inside, so come, let me take you through all the changes. Now because proportions and the dimensions of the Creta N Line have not changed, have not been updated vis-a-vis the Creta, space on the inside remains the same. And at this stage, I would actually urge you to check out our Creta First Drive review if you haven't already, to get a sense of what I'm talking about. But coming back to the Creta N Line, the changes here are a bit more pronounced than on the outside. And that's courtesy a red lining here on the dash and the AC vent, a red underline here on the side and the bottom of the curvilinear infotainment screen and driver display. You get N logo here on the steering wheel, which doesn't have a flat bottom, and I would have personally preferred to for the steering wheel to have a flat bottom steering wheel just to add to that sporty quotient. But well, other than that, the steering is familiar, at least to those who have driven Hyundai models or specifically Creta models recently. As far as the seats are concerned, nice sporty seats. You get red stitching and red padding here. You get the N logo once again here. In fact, I'm very curious how many times or how many places the N badging has been used inside as well as on the outside. You get feature-wise all sorts of things like the panoramic sunroof. The front 2 seats are ventilated, which is great for a hot day like today. You get a large infotainment screen, you get wireless charging, you get multiple ports for charging your phone, cup holders, and additional storage space on the side doors as well as under the armrest here. So feature wise, this car is as loaded as Hyundai cars always tend to be, or in fact as much as any new Creta does offer to customers. But what are the changes when it is on the move? Now one thing, before we actually get this car on the move, one thing I want to highlight is that 1.5 litre turbo which was introduced on the Creta just this year came with the DCT gearbox. In fact, this one also has DCT. But if you are buying the Creta N Line and only the N Line, you can actually opt for the engine paired with a manual gearbox as well. So for all the enthusiasts, that could be a great deal. But coming back to how this car is on the move, let's take a closer look. On the move, the mechanical tweaks are not instantly evident, especially not if you're driving the DCT. And while we will surely get our hands on the manual stick soon, our review unit for now was the one with the automatic gearbox. The DCT functions on expected lines, slick and ticking the numbers well. There is aggression, and in the sport mode, the Creta has more than enough grunt to speed its way forward. There is 158 bhp and a generous 253 Nm of torque, the same as on the non-N line model. But the suspension setup has been tuned marginally, while the steering feels slightly lighter, which give it a more sporty drive appeal. Unfortunately though, the exhaust notes are not as prominent to the ears as they are on the Venue N Line. So should you buy the Hyundai Creta N Line or should you give it a skip? Well, the answer to that would lie in what sort of a customer are you. Now, if you're someone who doesn't really want to stand out of the crowd and these red accents and brake calipers don't really matter all that much to you, then well, you can give the N Line a skip. You're also someone who has a very tight budget and you definitely do want to buy a Creta, then you should just go for the Creta and not the N Line, because the N Line commands a price premium over the non-N Line version. Now, the full pricing is of course on our website, and if you're watching this on our social media handles, the pricing is also mentioned in the caption. So that's someone who can actually give the N Line a miss. But if you want to actually stand out, if you're someone who's young or young at heart, and you want to really make a statement when on the move, then the Creta N Line definitely does make a very, very big statement on your behalf. If budget also is not such a big consideration, then you can go for the N Line. But most importantly, at least most important to me, is that this car comes with that 1.5 litre turbo petrol engine, which only on the N Line is mated to the manual gearbox. So if manual gearbox excites you still, then well, the only option you have, at least on the Creta, is the Creta N Line. That's my personal honest opinion. What do you make of the Creta N Line? Is it better than the Creta? Is it better than all the rivals that crowd the mid-size SUV space? Do let us know. Do also let us know what you made of this review. In this episode though, that's all the time we have as always. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, drive safe, be safe.